Your image is so funny. I don't know if anyone will get mine. My brothers will. Some other people will get this one.
I don't get yours.
Okay, so mine is Star Trek number 4, motion picture number 4, The Voyage Home. This is Spock talking to the blue humpback whales. So they have to go back in time to save the whales. Have you never seen the movie?
No.
It's very good and one of my favorite Star Treks.
The only Star Trek.
The Mythosaur and Bo-Katan seeing it underwater going.
The only Star Trek I have ever seen is the Star Trek that you introduced me to.
Was it First Contact?
Which is the best Star Trek when they say, well, that's it.
That wasn't First Contact. That was... I can't remember which one I showed you. Yeah, that's a good one. Well, that's it. Anyway, welcome to another. Your camera's you're kind of low on your camera, Shawnee. There you go. Welcome to another episode of Dads of Dagobah. We are reviewing the second episode of season 3 of The Mandalorian. This is chapter 18.
The Mines of Moria.
The Mines. Oh, that's what we should have had our background image of. The Mines. I'll say this, Sean, right off the bat. I did not see this episode coming so quickly. I thought we were setting up for a season-long journey to get to this point. But episode 2, they're like, let's just get them there.
Yeah, I was surprised too. Well, first of all, I was surprised that we got here so early. And then I guess my question, kind of overarching question for this journey is, for them to reclaim Mandalore, what exactly has to happen? They just have to go back on the planet, which apparently is not toxic, and just move back in?
Yeah, I mean, what's to reclaim? I mean, can't you just go there and be like, okay, I'm here. It's ours now. Like, what needs to be reclaimed? Are you fighting the green-eyed monsters?
Yeah. I don't know.
That's very interesting. What do they mean by all that? I mean, we can just get right into it. We don't have any Star Wars quiz to do this week. So I was thinking about it today. I don't think that's the end of the storyline for IG-11. Like, well, okay, I guess I'll take R5. Sounds good. I think there's going to be more to it. But he did bend to pressure very easily, it seemed. I need a droid for spelunking. How about this 3-legged droid that can barely roll? I'll give him an oil bath. Okay, let's do it.
So I'm glad you're bringing this up, because completely inconsistent from last week's episode when Grief Karga was like, we have 10 million droids. You can choose any of them. And he's like, no. It has to be IG-11 for a very specific purpose. Now it's like, really? I just need any droid that can spelunk.
Why did he take one of the pit droids?
Yeah. I'm like, okay, the only thing you used the droid for was to do an atmosphere analysis to see if the air was breathable. That's it.
That's all he needed it for.
So why was it so important to have IG-11?
Could you say, hey, lady, can you add an atmospheric tester onto my ship? Yeah, sure, 15 credits. Sweet, see you later.
Yeah. But I did feel like it was nice to see R5 get some time in a role that his droid kind was built for.
That's right.
He's finally fulfilling the function of his creation.
Do you see that giant crater of glass over there? Can you go haphazardly roll over there on your 1-inch wheels?
And then, okay, well, first of all, okay, so we see, I loved the Bunta Eve celebration. That was fun to see. I liked how they were swindling the Rhodian. The Jawas were taking the speeder apart and going to put it right back together. Um, Also, we see Grogu force leap out of the N1 starfighter.
Yep.
That was fun. But yeah, ultimately, when we get to Mandalore and R5 starts rolling across and he's on the little radar and then just disappears. And so Mando goes in there, he fights the green-eyed alien guys, and R5's just chilling right there.
Yeah.
I'm like, how did he, what happened for him to drop off the radar?
What happens for a droid to go off radar? That's my question, too.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in trouble. I'm going to turn off my GPS locator.
Exactly. Or maybe R5's just that old where they just kind of bumped him over and he fell over and everything just, well, you knocked loose a wire and now his geolocator is disconnected.
Yeah, yeah, this is what I didn't understand either. I know we're just going to harp on this scene the whole time. He tells R5 to get out and go check the atmosphere. So R5 goes into the crater and disappears. Din has to come in and save him, almost dies, and then brings him back to the ship, and feet away from the ship, he says, hey, run that analysis.
Yeah.
Hey, okay, now go for it.
Like, I'm like, did he even need to leave his little droid
Yeah, little port.
little droid cockpit to even do this? Couldn't he just run it from there?
Oh boy, this is a show made for kids. Anyway, fun scenes. Yeah, I mean, I didn't think we'd get to Mandalore so quickly. The fact that map makers and cartographers were given a shout out. Grogu is a map maker, geographer, so go team go.
Well, on the way there, Mando's teaching him the ways of Mandalore that Mandalorians need to know how to navigate and where they are so they don't get lost. And he's showing him this is Concordia, the moon that he grew up on, and that's where Bo-Katan lives and all this. I mean, he's given Grogu a world traveler geography IQ quiz,
Yeah.
Facebook quiz.
How well did Din know the way to the waters?
Well, he landed on a massive planet. He landed right at the entrance to the crater that he needed to access the place.
Yeah, but once he got in there, he certainly didn't seem to know the way.
That's true. Well, yeah. The idea that he's never been to Mandalore, and presumably no one's been back to the planet in who knows how many years since pre-Clone Wars, or I mean pre or post-Clone Wars, but pre-original trilogy times.
Yeah.
So maybe like 10 years. Maybe it's been 10 years.
So, okay, he was kidnapped, or his family was killed Clone Wars time, right?
Right.
Where he lived on Concordia. He was saved by the Watchers and never taken to Mandalore. Because were they expelled from Mandalore, and that's why he never went there?
Possibly, yeah.
And then soon thereafter, it was destroyed?
Right.
In the Purge? Okay. I'm trying to figure out my timeline. Like, why did he never go there? I think it's because he was picked up by this religious sect that weren't welcome. So, okay.
Yeah, so he and Grogu start jetpacking down to the lower levels, deeper into the mines of Moria, even though I guess technically as they were descending, they were not yet in the mines of Mandalore. They were just in
a city.
The city center or whatever it was. And so they go down. They're going. We see the little Jurassic Park creatures going through. Grogu's kind of scared, doing some cute little noises. Then they find this Mandalorian helmet, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, Tamatoa from Moana, the big crab, jumps out of the dirt. which is the reference to my image in the back, a small alien controlling a larger machine.
Is this Abby had a good year, and she mentioned to me that she thought it sounded a lot like General Grievous. It's not General Grievous, from what I can tell. Is it? I would assume it's a similar type of cyborg. It's a alien creature is just an eyeball now, or some sort of one bit of a person and is turned cyborg. Is that kind of the sense you got about this creature?
I was surprised when it got out that it still seemed very mechanical.
Yeah.
I thought when it was going to get out, it was going to be like more of a alien type, fleshy alien, but it was mostly mechanical, the smaller version that got out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it seemed like the only organic kind of material we see is the eye.
Right.
Um,
and its purpose is what? To suck the life out of anything that comes its way?
Yeah, it's siphoning blood out of Mando.
Uh-huh.
But for what purpose? Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni didn't deem it necessary to let us know.
Yeah, a little callback to thing like Return of the Jedi, where they're up on the roasting sticks about to be, dinner or something.
Well, mostly I'm like, how much time does it take for Grogu to get back to the ship and then fly to another planet, albeit in the system, but fly to another planet, get Bo-Katan's droid to download R5's data to know you guys are on Mandalore? Oh, okay, let's go back. Then to get back down to the thing, like that, even if they were going light speed, I'm like, this has got to be at least like, give or take, an hour.
Listen, this is the Shelob. This is a Shelob villain. This is a wrap up my prey, go do something else for a bit.
I mean, I know R5's a good co-pilot, autopilot for this one, but I don't think he's making it there in 15 minutes. I think it's a lengthy round trip. And we cut back to the alien and Mando, and I'm like, what has this alien been doing for the last 3 hours? He wants to start minutes before Bo-Katan is showing up?
Okay, might as well get this started. Also, does Grogu speak? Is he speaking words or is he babbling? Because he goes, and like...
I do feel like they intentionally made it sound like he was babbling to Peli on Tatooine. Like he's making like consonant noises. It's more than just it's more than cooing. It was definite babbling.
Right.
I want his first word to be Utini.
Yeah. Dang ferret. Yeah, we forgot about the Darksaber fight. That seemed like a big, even though it kind of went unmentioned, it seemed like a big part of the story is the Darksaber. Mando still has it. It still seems like he's not very good with it. It's still very heavy to him. He is not very good at wielding it. Seems clunky, right? Much more comfortable with the blaster.
Yeah. I feel like that was definitely, I forgot that, how did we miss that? Because that's clearly a indication of his character progression too, of his accepting of himself as a Mandalorian and leading, being a leader of the Mandalorians, all this stuff.
He's not there yet, yeah.
He doesn't see himself in that way.
I think he still thinks Bo-Katan should be the leader,
And if you notice, when Bo-Katan uses the Darksaber at the end against the alien, she's much better with it.
Yes.
See, when we were just watching, I told Corey, I'm like, is this like enough? Is this like an Elder Wand, Harry Potter type
she
property?
Just kind of picks it up as like, I'm now.
Because Mando was technically disarmed by the alien and the Darksaber was cast aside, and now Bo-Katan's picking it up. Like, she has the legal claim to it. But then at the end, Mando puts it back, takes it back. And I'm like, wow.
It seems like Bo-Katan's kind of giving it a look like, she picks it up, and I was kind of worried there'd be kind of a little But there was no conversation about it. It went unmentioned.
Yeah.
But it still seems like there's some tension there about it.
Right.
So.
But he kills all the green-eyed aliens with the Darksaber, and then Bo-Katan uses the Darksaber to fight, and she's got her little energy shield too.
She just totally destroys that alien.
Yes.
In his cyborg form, and then when he gets into the big crab thing, doesn't phase her at all. She takes it down, you know?
Yeah. We see Grogu using the Force too more. He tried to rescue Mando, was unsuccessful at opening the cage.
Oh, right. Yes.
And then on his way out of the underground city, he force pushes one of the. Bo-Katan says the name of the alien race, but I don't retain that type of stuff. Whatever the green-eyed monsters are.
And then, I mean, this conversation takes place, and basically, she's mocking him for sticking to his guns. He's like, I still need to get there. Do you know the way? Can you show me? She's like, I can show you. I've been there before. I used to rule this place. You know, my family were the rulers here. I've done all the show. I've done the show. I've done the pomp and circumstance. Like, it doesn't mean anything. Look, the place is destroyed. Why are you holding to these beliefs when, you know, just look around? But yet he still feels the need to go. And this is where, you know, it's very interesting what the future holds for Mandalore. Is it Bo-Katan, who doesn't care about the myth, doesn't care about the legend, cares only about strength and power, it seems, versus Mando, who doesn't care about the strength and power and cares about the myth and the legend, you know?
Yeah, to me, for Bo, it's more about, like you said, I feel like the power, but the people. It's like the geographic location,
Yes.
being there, being the ruler, like leading the Mandalorian people. Whereas Mando, it's the creed and the lifestyle.
Yes.
And with the geographic location isn't as important because everyone's scattered, but what holds them together is their identity of Mandalorians through the creed and the lifestyle. And I thought it was really interesting as Bo was kind of telling him about her growing up and her family and stuff like that, and started talking about her father. And he, she says something about, yeah, he died defending Mandalore. And he stopped abruptly, and I was like, what's happening right now? And he's like, this is the way.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell to him that was like very serious, of like, that was a very sincere, like that is part of the creed, to give your life defending Mandalore impacted him enough to where he wanted to pay his respects that way. And I feel like Bo-Katan was like, that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, if you're interacting with somebody who has a belief system that perhaps is not your own, and they are so committed or dedicated to it and outwardly live it or whatever, and you don't relate because you don't share the same belief system, you can be respectful of it, but you're just kind of like, okay,
yeah,
I don't relate to this at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's kind of how Bo-Katan is, which is interesting because she's aware of the Children of the Watch, but even though they're both Mandalorian, like they just don't share that same belief system. But
it seems like in order to rule Mandalore, you're going to need both parts. You're going to need the location and the myth and the Darksaber and the creed and the, everything. And they both have their separate parts that they believe in and are holding on to, but neither is enough. It's the combination of both, I feel like, will be the finality that will bring them all together. And I think we see a bit of that at the very end. I mean, we can get to the end where he falls into the waters. Is he reciting the creed, or is he just reciting? They keep referencing the creed, but what is the creed? Is what he's saying as he's baptizing himself the creed?
It may be part of it, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's kind of what was being recited at the beginning of last episode too, when the little boy was putting on his helmet for the first time.
Uh-huh. And then he falls in. I assume it's just a deep spot he wasn't ready for. Or was he pulled under?
I know that you want to continue this thought of talking about the mythosaur and like finish that train of thought, but I do think we need to detour a second and say what the freak was happening when he fell in that water. Because Bo-Katan goes full rocket jetpack straight down to the bottom, and he is like miles down.
Yeah.
Like, what just happened?
She doesn't reach him until he's already at the floor.
Yes. And I'm like, and he's incapacitated. I'm like, what? I don't get. I guess it's because he didn't have a jetpack. And maybe his Beskar armor was just so heavy that he sank like a rock.
I don't know. Maybe he was pulled under. Maybe this is like a,
Oh, when I was watching it, I 100% thought that some sort of like monster or squid had like pulled him under.
Yeah, that's what I felt like too.
Because the velocity with which he dropped, and then Bo-Katan was going so fast, I'm like, he wouldn't, even if he was just sinking regular like gravity or whatever, he would not have sunk that fast. She would have caught up to him much sooner.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole time she's like going down with her jetpack, I was expecting her to like start coming up on some aquatic monster that had him that was swimming away from them or something. But nope, he just was down at the bottom.
Maybe it was the mythosaur who grabbed him.
I don't think so, because when they came up on it, I feel like the mythosaur was kind of chilling, like taking a little nap. Like, who's shining this light in my eye? Get out of here. But so back to what you were saying, I think you're spot on that they're going to need both. And that ending part was kind of, she's reading this plaque before he goes into the water. She's like, I want you to have the full tour, like mocking still of like,
mock this little thing,
Yeah, here's this little plaque we have about like the legend or the myth of the waters of Mandalore and how it's the lair of the mythosaur, which is supposed to be this extinct mythical creature. And this is like it's their origin story. It's like us, thinking about the story of Genesis or whatever culture, thinking about their origin story, and coming up on that site or geographic location and thinking like, yeah, this is a story from eons ago, and but nobody believes this stuff. But yeah, this is kind of the pomp and circumstance we do. Only to be surprised as she is ascending back up through the water to find that there is a living mythosaur in the waters of Mandalore.
Man. Crazy.
And she obviously, like, underwater gasps, like, whoa. That'd be pretty crazy. That'd be like...
Stories are true.
Yeah. That'd be like someone, now, like, finding a fire-breathing dragon or something.
Yeah. Well,
but I'm just really hoping that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni say, we need to one-up the Book of Boba Fett on this, and we'll take your Boba Fett riding a Rancor, and we'll raise you a Mandalorian riding the Mythosaur into battle against the Empire.
Or the Empire. I mean, who are they going to battle against? The green-eyed monsters? I mean, we've talked about this before. What's the liberation here?
The remnants of the Empire, led by Moff Gideon.
Oh, right. I forgot about him. And somehow the Empire is still around. Oh, Palpatine's around too, don't forget. Somewhere. Anyway.
So I guess one of my questions too about the lore of all this is the Mythosaur an aquatic creature? Can it breathe air? Does it ever surface? Or is it only underwater?
I don't know.
Huh.
It only lives in the waters of Mandalore. So it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. So nothing else will come of that.
Well, I mean, compared to last episode, much more structured story, better dialogue. We've already got some speed races going on over there in Texas.
Oh, can you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much easier to follow. Just overall a better episode than the first one. The first one was setting up a lot of things, and even though I'm kind of scratching my head about a few things like IG-11 and R5 and all that stuff, I'm glad this story's kind of picking up here.
Yeah, overall, I enjoyed the episode. I thought it was a stronger episode than last week for sure. But I guess again, now that really the end of last season / end of Book of Boba Fett, I should say, not the end of last season, but the end of Book of Boba Fett. The only real kind of futuristic milestone that we knew we had to work towards was him atoning in the waters of Mandalore.
Did he atone? Did that count?
I think it counts. He bathed in the waters.
I mean, but did he finish the creed?
All I'm saying is, at this point...
No, I agree, yeah.
I don't... I'm curious. I'm curious now, the rest of the season, what will we be working toward? Like,
I thought we were going to get an 8-episode arc about picking up parts for IG-11 and,
Yeah. So I guess now he's got to go back to the armorer and be like, hey, I did it. And so she will accept him back in the fold. And then I feel like it's going to be working with Bo-Katan again, who keeps telling him, quit bothering me. He's going to go back to her palace for a 3rd or 4th time and be like, I'm back again. And uniting all the Mandalorians and moving back to Mandalore. But again, reclaiming it seems like it's just a matter of making the decision to move back in. I don't think there's no resistance there.
Yeah.
And I really wanted Bo-Katan to talk about Obi-Wan or Ahsoka or her sister Satine and be like, yeah, I knew a Jedi once. He was in love with my sister.
Almost left the order for her.
Seriously.
Shoulda. What? Anyway, shorter episode for us. Nice concise plot, it seemed like.
When we don't have Disney Cruise trivia,
that's right.
We can keep this short and sweet.
Well, what do you guys think of the episode? What do you think of the mythosaur? How far away from a ship do you think R5 needed to go to take an atmospheric reading? Greater or less than 1 meter? And with that, leave us a comment down below, share the video, do all the things to give us more viewers. This is all we have.
That's right. I do have one other question.
Oh, go for it.
That they can answer down below, and I'd also like to hear your answer right now. Is this the last episode that we'll see R5 in that N1 starfighter, or is he a permanent member of the crew now?
Oh, gosh, I hope not. We need the bubble back. They took away the bubble so fast.
Grogu doesn't want to ride in the bubble anymore. He wants to be in Daddy's lap.
I don't know. I guess we can keep R5, but he seems pretty incompetent to me.
He seems like he's literally on his last leg, a bucket of bolts. He was already like that
in episode 4.
Yeah, 10 years ago, or 12 years ago, when Owen Lars was going to buy him.
Hey, but from a certain point of view, he's Force sensitive. Remember that story?
I do.
Yeah. But anyway, this is
everyone.
You finish this off here.
I was just going to say, thanks for watching. We appreciate all the love and support. Ring those bells and subscribe those likes and thumbs up all the channels.
That's right.
And this has been a pleasant conversation about Chapter 18, The Mines of Mandalore. We have spoken.
This is the way.
And we'll see you next time.
On the Dads of Dagobah.
Dagobah.
See ya.